Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto Kid Naruto awakens his Mangekyo Sharingan with help of Shisui Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. October 10th, the day that would leave a lasting impression among the people of the Hidden Leaf. October 10th, the day the Nine-Tails Fox would raise hell among Konoha. Hundreds of lives would be lost that night, but among those losses would be the rise of 2 new lives. Though in order to understand this tale, you must first understand what happened on October 10th, the day the Kyuubi attacked. In cave not too far from the village was a group of shinobi. Outside of the cage stood a small group of Anbu, guarding the people inside. Inside the cave was a red-headed woman, who was known as Kushina Namikaze, and to a selected few the second Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox. Kushina was in complete agony, as she was close to giving birth. To her side stood the Yondaime Hokage, keeping the 9 tails in check. The Yondaime Hokage, aka Minato Namikaze, looked at his wife with distress. The woman delivering the babies, Bawako Sarutobi, merely shook her head at Minato's antics. Men, thought the wife of the 3rd Hokage as she concentrated at the task at hand. Fa. The crying of the first baby rang through the room. A small red-headed boy was in the arms of Bawako. Bawako passed the boy to her assistant, and went right back to work. Then a few moments later the sound of the second baby rang through the room. Fa. Minato looked at the children with renewed happiness, and he quickly looked back down to his wife. Minato could see the large smile on his wife's pained face, then in the blink of an eye everything changed. Line. The village hidden in the leaf was near complete destruction. An enormous hole was found in the village's outer walls. The place where the 3rd Hokage had forced the Kyuubi out. The village itself was practically in shambles, while portions of it were completely the village walls. A large portion of the forest was completely gone. In this clearing stood several shinobi, and among those shinobi stood the 3rd Hokage. His eyes wide, as he just witnessed the Kyuubi disappear. Where did it go? An enormous light that illuminated the night could be seen in the distance. Line. Snake, boar, ram, rabbit, dog, rat, bird, horse, snake. Minato finished the last seal, and clapped his hands together, clap. A giant apparition appeared behind Minato. The apparition wore a long white cloak, and he had long white. Suddenly Minato's soul appeared at the hands of the apparition. Minato's eye twitched as he muttered the jutsu's name, Shiki Fujin. Minato looked to his left, and looked at his severely injured wife. Kushina was kneeled to a ceiling shrine, where their newborn twins lay. Minato narrowed his eyes, as they were quickly filled with determination. Turning forward he glared at the 9 tails, who was being held down by Kushina's chakra chains. Minato formed a hand seal, and the death god struck his hand through Minato's back. The death god's hand entered Minato, and used his body as a medium. Then suddenly the same hand exploded from Minato's stomach, and latched onto the 9 tails. Minato gritted his teeth. I'll see the yin half into Mito, and then, I'll seal the other half into me. No, I must seal it into Naruto. Minato looked at his 2 children. They must be the 2 to stop Madara, the Jinchurikis of the 9-tailed fox. Minato looked forward, and he directed the death god's hand to rip away the yin half of the 9 tails. In a quick motion the hand of the death god did exactly that. Minato watched as the 9 tails shrunk in size, and he quickly moved to seal away the yin. Fa! Cried Mito as the yin was sealed into her. Minato wasted no time, and moved to seal away the second half. He grabbed onto the remaining half of the 9 tails, and proceeded to seal it into Naruto. Then all at once Minato's body froze, and he watched as the hand kept moving. What are you doing? Shouted Minato as he managed to tilt his head towards the Shinigami. Kushina had heard Minato's shout, and turned to face him. Kushina's eyes widened in shock as she felt the excruciating pain of having the 9 tails resealed into her. Ga. A hole was ripped in the clothes of Kushina, and in that hole her stomach was revealed to the whole world. A8 sign seal appeared on her stomach, and Kushina's eyes rolled into the back of her head. Minato watched in torment as his wife fell into a state of unconscious. Minato felt himself regain control of his body, and he fell to his knees. Minato looked behind him, and stared at the Shinigami in disbelief. What's the meaning of this? You are a fortunate mortal. Today I've decided to help you scum known as humans, spoke the death god. Minato's eyes widened in shock, as he hadn't expected a response. Why? The death god gave him a devilish grin. The time has drawn near, the child to complete the prophecy is near. Though in order for that agenda to occur, things need to occur. I usually don't mess around with mortal affairs, but I'll make this exception. Minato asked, prophecy? Are you talking about the child of prophecy? The death god stood still, and Minato watched as his soul was returned into his body. In order for the prophecy to occur, you must live. But do not think you have cheated death, mortal. Your soul will eventually be mine, but do remember my words. Minato's eyes closed, and his hearing suddenly became dull. The release of the jutsu had quickly sent him into unconsciousness, disabling him from hearing the death god's last words. You will become your son's greatest pain. The death god looked over to the boy, and wasn't surprised to meet the boy's eyes. Even though he's so young, he's unconsciously able to feel me. Could he finally be the one? The death god silently disappeared from the area, his eyes never leaving the small child. And now our story begins. Time skip 8 years. A young red-haired boy could be seen peeking out the window. His gaze remained frozen on a pair of people in his backyard. The boy put himself into a better position, and thus revealing more of his body to the outside world. The boy stood quite tall for his age at a height of 3 feet 11 inches. He had short spiky red hair, and with the whisker marks on his cheek. It gave the boy a ferocious look. But his bright blue eyes was the real abnormality to his looks. Compared to the rest of his features, his eyes were the things that stood out the most for the boy. The boy stared intently at the group, trying to memorize every little detail he could. Out in his backyard stood the Yondaime Hokage, and a young blonde-haired girl. The redhead watched as the child attempted to run up the tree, but quickly fell off. A frown was placed on the boy's face, as he watched the man catch her, and they both laughed. Naruto shook his head, and turned away from his window. He walked quickly to his dresser, and opened up a drawer. He pulled out a kunai, and slammed the drawer shut. Unintentionally he caused the pictures on top of his dresser to fall over. The boy sighed as he reached out to pick the things out. The first thing he picked up was a wooden block with a name on it. Naruto Namikaze. The boy gave his name a quick glance, and placed it onto his dresser. He picked up a picture, and stared at it. It was a picture of him with a beautiful blonde woman. The title under it read, Grandma Tsunade. Naruto moved over, and picked up 2 more. One picture he was much younger, and was sitting on an old man's lap with the blonde girl. Old man Hokage. Naruto looked at the third picture. A masked shinobi with silver head stood by Naruto. His hand was messing up Naruto's hair, but Naruto was still smiling into the picture. Kakashi. Naruto picked up the last picture. It was a picture with him and the blonde girl. Behind them stood Minato and Kushina. Family pie. Naruto didn't read the rest, as he slammed the picture face down onto the drawer. Naruto quietly opened his door, and moved silently through the hall. As he reached the end of it, he stopped to peek around the corner. Naruto glanced into the kitchen to see his mother preparing a meal. Naruto looked down to his kunai. If I tell her what I'm doing, she won't let me go. Naruto frowned as he thought back to why all this was happening. Flashback no jutsu 1 year ago. It was early morning in Konoha, and Naruto sat fully awake at the breakfast table. To his side sat Mito, who was sleeping on the table, and Minato was sitting across them. Plates and chopsticks were set for each of them. Naruto took a deep breath as he waited for his mom to enter the room. Today's the day. I asked mom and dad to help train me too. They've been training Mito for a month, and I think it's time for me too. Naruto smiled as he thought about the things he could be learning. He was about to let out a childish giggle when he saw his mom enter the kitchen. He quickly eyed his father, who was busy reading, and straightened himself up, trying to look as mature as possible. Dad, Mom, in an innocent voice. Minato and Kushina both looked up and looked at each other. One thought ran through their heads: he wants something. Kushina gave Naruto a questioning look. What is it, Naruto? Naruto sweated a bit under his mother's look. She already knows I want something. Minato brushed Kushina off. Kushina lessened that look. You're going to scare him off. Kushina glared at Minato. I'm not scaring him off. Mom. Dad. Can I talk? Interrupted Naruto. Kushina and Minato looked at Naruto. Minato smiled. What is it, Naruto? Well, I was wondering. Naruto twirled his fingers a bit. If you could start teaching me the ninja arts like Mito. Mito was suddenly wide awake and listened to Naruto's conversation. Kushina and Minato both rose an eyebrow. Minato gave Naruto a patient look. Naruto, we've already told you why I started training Mito early. Naruto nodded. It's because she's the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, and she needs extra help controlling her chakra. Naruto looked up with determination. I know that, but I promise I won't be a burden. You just have to teach me once, and I swear I'll manage to figure things out on my own. You won't even have to waste that much time with me. I promise. Minato sighed. That's not how it works, Naruto. When teaching young children like you to use chakra, you need a lot of attention. Due to my Hokage duties, I don't have much time to teach you. In fact, it's usually your mother who teaches Mito, and she needs to have all her focus on Mito. Naruto's eyes were slowly beginning to fill up with disappointment. But Dad. No, but Dads, replied Kushina. You heard your father. Kushina walked over to Naruto and placed her hands on his shoulder. Once you enter the academy, you'll learn how to wield your chakra there. Naruto's eyes suddenly lit up with an idea. Then why don't you let me join now? They could probably teach me how to use my chakra. Kushina sighed. Cause you don't have to enter until you're 9. Since all they teach you at your age is the basics of reading, writing, and history. We teach you that already. Naruto finally frowned. Then why can't I just enter now? I already know all that. I'm sure I could just skip ahead. Kushina looked over to Minato, and Minato frowned. They knew that already, but Kushina and Minato didn't want their children to grow up so fast. They themselves had seen the horrors of war at their children's age. Kushina's temper finally got the best of her. I said no, and that's final. Naruto shut his eyes in anger, but he did nothing. Kushina and Minato looked at each other, and shared a sigh. Mito merely gazed at her brother, not uttering a word. Flashback no Jutsu release 1 year ago. Naruto took a deep breath, and ran to the door. Mom, I'm going to the park. Kushina looked behind her. What? Though before she knew what was happening, Naruto was already out the door. Kushina sighed. He better not be late for dinner. Line. Naruto stood in a clearing near the park. The spot was secluded, so no one else could see what he was doing. Naruto stared at the tall, thick tree he had picked. From what I was seeing, Mito was using her chakra to walk up the tree. Naruto took a deep breath. If I'm correct, I must direct the flow of chakra to my feet in order to walk up the tree. Naruto formed a hand seal, and closed his eyes to concentrate. Gather the chakra to my feet. Naruto opened his eyes, and pulled out the kunai he grabbed earlier. Then he swiftly ran up to the tree, and started running up the tree. Naruto took 3 steps, and he grinned. I'm doing it. Snap. Only 3 feet off the ground, Naruto heard the breaking of bark. Naruto quickly looked down to his feet. Then he suddenly realized he was upside down, and falling to the ground. Thump. Naruto's head slammed into the ground, and Naruto fell to his side. He quickly rubbed his head. I might need to use less chakra. Naruto took a few steps back, and repeated the earlier process. Then he looked at the tree, and once again ran towards it. Line. A black-haired teen sat in the branches of a high tree. His hair was wild and spiky, and wore a high-colored black shirt. His eyes were closed, and he was sleeping silently in the tree. His eyes suddenly cracked open, revealing his black onyx eyes. The teen yawned, and took a good look around. He looked up to the sky. It'll be sunset soon. The teen frowned. Did I really waste the whole day sleeping? Oh well, I needed it. Shisui looked around once more, and he suddenly rose an eyebrow. He looked down at the red-haired boy. He's still at it. That boy has been here since a little past noon. Shisui looked at the tree he was staring at. Shisui shook his head. By looking at the marks, he hasn't managed to get past 7 feet. Shisui watched as Naruto formed a hand seal, and begun gathering chakra to his feet. Though I'll give him credit, he has determination. Shisui then watched as he raced up the tree, and then Shisui's eyes widened. He watched as he flew past the 7 feet mark, and smoothly ran up halfway the tree. Where several markings gone unnoticed by Shisui where. Naruto ran a few more steps, before he marked his spot and jumped off. Naruto landed on the ground smoothly, but out of nowhere he stumbled backwards and fell to his knees. Naruto suddenly let out a big grin, as he attempted to catch his breath. Shisui couldn't help but grin as well. What an impressive brat. That's better than most genin do in a week. Shisui then scratched his chin. That red hair though, why does it seem so familiar? Shisui was broken from his thoughts, when Naruto suddenly raced up the tree once more. Naruto ran swiftly up the tree, and managed to get a few steps past his mark. Naruto grabbed his kunai, and attempted to mark his spot. The kunai cut deeply into the tree, but it was suddenly caught in it. Naruto's eyes widened in shock, and he lost total balance of his body. With no control of his body he plummeted to the ground. As Naruto fell to the ground Shisui's eyes widened realizing who exactly Naruto was, the Yondaime's son. Naruto shut his eyes expecting the worst, but it never came. Naruto slowly reopened them, and was surprised to be in Shisui's arms. For a moment Naruto felt a sense of deja vu. Just like Dad and Mito, he saved me from hitting the floor. Hey, kiddo, I'm Shisui. Quite the close shave back there, huh? Spoke Shisui. Naruto was suddenly brought back to reality, and the situation dawned upon him. Naruto remained frozen for a second, causing Shisui to panic. Are you alright? Aghh! Shouted Shisui as Naruto's fist slammed into his face. Shisui let go of Naruto, and Naruto jumped away. Shisui clenched his nose, and glared at Naruto. What was that for? Naruto glared at Shisui. How do I know you're not an enemy ninja? You don't have a forehead protector nor are you wearing any Konoha attire. Shisui's sweat dropped. Me an enemy shinobi. Don't you see the Uchiha crest on my back? Out of nowhere the kunai from earlier landed in between of Naruto and Shisui. Naruto eyed the kunai. Why don't you show me? Shisui sighed. Fine. Shisui turned around revealing his back. See. Shisui's eyes widened, as he turned around to see Naruto with the kunai in his hand. Then with the flick of his wrist it was flying at impressive speeds, with deadly accuracy. Shisui was impressed, even his throwing is quite refined. Then Shisui caught the blade with his bare hands. Let me tell you a few things, kid. Naruto's eyes widened, as he watched Shisui catch his kunai with minimal effort. First, if I was actually an enemy shinobi I would have killed you by now. Shisui walked closer to Naruto. Second, you shouldn't attack your enemy with dull blades. That's why it got stuck in the tree earlier. Shisui suddenly activated his Sharingan. Finally, I'm a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village. Just because I don't have my stuff doesn't mean I'm not a shinobi of this village. Shisui tossed a blade to Naruto, and Naruto caught it. Naruto then rubbed the back of his head. I'm sorry. Shisui. It's just I'm really tired, and a bit off edge. It's just no one ever comes out here, so I was surprised to see anyone here. Shisui nodded. I see, so what are you doing out here? I'm sure your father would allow you to practice in any of the training grounds. In fact, where is he? This tree climb training is usually hard to do without a teacher, and you've been doing it all day. Shisui watched as Naruto rubbed the back of his head again. About that. Shisui sighed, and rubbed the back of his head. Why do I feel like I'm walking into a heap of trouble? Alright, tell me the whole story. Line. Naruto and Shisui sat at the base of Naruto's training tree. Naruto took a deep breath, and that's it. I'm out here because my parents refused to train me, so I've decided to train myself. Shisui looked over at Naruto. I don't know whether to be impressed or not. Naruto rose an eyebrow. What do you mean? Shisui rested his head across the tree. Well, from one's view it looks like you're just being a little whiny brat that doesn't want to wait another year to start playing ninja. Naruto's eyes widened in anger, and he clenched his fists. It's not that. Shisui cut him off, or I've stumbled upon some type of prodigy. All the anger in Naruto's eyes were replaced with shock. I mean, it's completely unheard of not even academy student to nearly master this exercise in a day. Not to mention you did it by merely seeing someone else do it a few times, praised Shisui. That's just crazy. Naruto remained silent at the praise, and Shisui suddenly smiled. Look here, kid, I've been looking for a student for a while, to rival my best friend who's teaching his little brother. So, how about it? You wouldn't mind it if I taught you? Shisui closed his eyes expecting some type of loud response, but he opened his eyes at the sound of sobbing. Shisui suddenly panicked. What are you doing? Why are you crying? Naruto wiped away a tear. I'm sorry, it's just I've never been praised so highly by anyone, and I would gladly be your student, Shisui-sensei. Shisui suddenly understood the situation, and gave Naruto a smile. I guess I understand the kid. I guess the neglection in his training has made him feel inferior to his sister. Naruto suddenly hugged Shisui, and Shisui awkwardly hugged him back, but that doesn't mean I'm going to make him feel better. Hey kid, stop hugging me. I'm not some teddy bear. Shouted Shisui. Snore. Shisui deadpanned. He fell asleep. Shisui sighed. He has been training all day. I guess it's finally caught up to him. Shisui grabbed Naruto, and tossed him over his back. I guess I have to take him home now. If I leave him here, the Yondaime won't be too happy. With Naruto on his back, Shisui jumped to the trees and raced to Naruto's house. Completely unaware of the grin that sneaked onto Naruto's face. Naruto was laying in his bed enjoying the peaceful sleep he was having. Until he heard his mother yell. Naruto, get up. Naruto, slowly rising up, noticed that it was only 7 a.m. Naruto was thinking to himself. What do they want? They usually don't wake me up unless it's my birthday. Looking at the calendar, he noticed it was October 10th. He quickly dashed out of his room, now full aware it was his 9th birthday. Knowing that today was his birthday, but more importantly knowing he would be able to sign up for the academy. As he raced to the kitchen, he was expecting hugs and happy birthdays from his parents. Instead, when he arrived to the kitchen, he saw that the rest of his family were already at the kitchen table. They were all impatiently waiting for him, while a plate of eggs and bacon was out for each of them. Sorry, couldn't think of any Asian breakfast foods. Come on Naruto, you're gonna cost us from eating your sister's birthday breakfast, said Kushina. Mito and Naruto both blinked in surprise because they didn't hear your or any mention of him. What do you mean by your sister's? Isn't it my too? I mean, it's my birthday too, declared a now slightly irritated Naruto. Kushina and Minato both almost jumped out of their chairs, completely now aware that they had forgot about Naruto. Oh my god, what a terrible parent am I. I totally forgot about my other son's birthday and it's on the same day of Mito. Wait, what am I thinking? Mito's. OMG, I'm a terrible, do I say? Thought both a very nervous Kushina and Minato. Lucky Minato wasn't Hokage for nothing. Well, Naruto, what she means is that breakfast was dedicated to Mito here. While lunch will be dedicated to you. So you get to pick anything you want for lunch. Naruto looked at him and his mother, already completely figured them out. Though instead of blowing up like he usually did, thanks to Shisui's teaching of meditating, he just sighed and sat down. Deciding to just play along to not completely ruin the day. Oh, okay, I guess that makes sense, said Naruto as he sat down and begun to eat. Mito also deciding to eat, totally buying the lie their parents had said. While both Kushina and Minato looked at each other with a ton of guilt. Both now determined to make sure to make it up to him. After breakfast, Minato had quickly left to finish his Hokage business so he could come home early for today's birthday party. Leaving Kushina, Naruto, and Mito alone at the table. So Naruto, what are you planning to do until your birthday party this afternoon? Asked the determined Kushina, wanting to make it up to him. Well, I was hoping to go see Shisui-sensei, replied Naruto. Why would you want to train on your birthday? I mean, don't you want to go play with your friends? Asked a puzzled Kushina. A now very embarrassed Naruto replied, well, you see, it's just that. Mumbling the rest as he looked over at Mito. What did you say? Said Kushina as the look at Mito didn't go unnoticed. It's that I really don't have any other friends besides Shisui, said a now ashamed Naruto as he thought why this had happened. Flashback no jutsu. It has been the year during their 8th birthday. It had been the day the Naruto decided to pull prank on Mito dyeing her hair red. Naruto, yelled an enraged Mito, as her hair was red, making her look just like her mom. I'm gonna kill you. Ha ha ha, look, it's Mini Mom. Ha 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 ha, laughed Naruto as he ran out of his house to the safety of Grandma Tsunade. This is pointless. He is so much faster than me. As well that Tsunade will definitely protect him from my wrath. UGHHH. I'll get you back one way or another, Naruto, thought Mito as she walked back to her room. Later at the birthday party, all the clan heads' kids had been invited, as well a few civilian friends of Mito and Naruto. The party had been going well. Parents were inside enjoying a few drinks, while the kids were outside waiting until cake and to open presents. That's when Mito decided to get her revenge. I'm pretty sure that everyone here would probably do anything I should, thought Mito as she plotted her revenge. Hey everyone, listen up. If you play with Naruto, you can't be my friend, announced Mito to all the kids. All the kids looked at each wondering if they should listen, but ending up doing exactly that. They thought that if they had to be either Naruto or Mito as a friend, it would be Mito because their parents said she was really important to the village. So of course almost everyone just went with it. I can't believe she just said that. Look at that, everyone is going along with it except Shikamaru and Choji. Thought a shocked Naruto. So for the rest of the day, every time Naruto tried to play with someone, he was kicked out. I can't believe she would do this, thought Naruto as he went inside and locked himself in his room, telling his parents he was sick. Flashback no jutsu release. Why wouldn't he having friends? I mean, he is the son of the 4th Hokage. Thought a now very intrigued Kushina. So she decided to ask. Why don't you have any friends? Quote. Once again looking at Mito, as she was now paying attention to the conversation. Realizing that she may in fact get in huge trouble if Naruto told her the truth. Naruto, of course being the kid he was, said, I don't know. I guess they just don't like me too much, lied Naruto. It's not like I don't have friends, it's just none my age. Shisui, Kakashi, and Itachi are my friends. Seeing that Kushina wasn't satisfied with the answer, decided to run for it. Well, I'm gonna go, bye mom, see you later, said Naruto as he sprinted off. Mito just sighed in relief and left thinking, I can't believe that Naruto didn't rat me out. Why do I feel so guilty now? Clutching her heart, why didn't you just rat me out, Naruto? Of course this didn't go unnoticed by Kushina. What's going on here? What do you have to do with it, Mito? Well, I'll figure this out later, thought Kushina as she went on her way to finish up her chores for the birthday party later today. With Minato. Well, that's the last of it, signed Minato as he finished up his paperwork. Suddenly his family picture of him and his family caught his eye. Then he formed a smile thinking how long it has been. I can't believe that my kids are already turning 9. Looking at Mito in the picture. Mito has surely grown in her training the past year. I truly believe that you are the one that Death spoke of. She definitely had inherited his looks. The blonde hair, and bright blue eyes. Yet, she is just like Kushina, brash, dense, kind, loyal, and the temper. Suddenly Minato formed a sweat drop thinking about his daughter's aggressive temper. Then he looked at his son. If his red hair didn't make him stand out enough, his bright blue sea eyes with the hair definitely did. Ironically, he was the one with the 3 whiskers on each cheek. He kind of had a mixed personality of him and Kushina. He was smart and collective like him, kind and loyal like his mom. He was worried from the reaction he received. This knew that Naruto saw through his white lie. That isn't what had gotten Minato so worried. It was the fact that he didn't do anything about. Just simply let it go like it was nothing. Naruto, why do I feel like you're starting to push away from us? Is it 'cause I didn't personally look after your training? Pondered Minato. No, it can't be that. I heard he was very happy with Shisui as a sensei. No, it's 'cause I haven't been a great father towards him. Minato stood up from his desk and moved toward his window. As he looked out, he saw his whole village busy at work. From civilians working to get jobs done to some ninjas enjoying a good walk. Yes, Naruto, I'm gonna start spending more time with you. Starting by including you in training with your sister, thought Minato, believing he would bring his son back a bit more. I just hope you won't get too mad about tonight. With Naruto walking down the village. I can't believe they just forgot about me, thought Naruto as he slowly walked down the street toward the Uchiha compound. How could they forgot that it was my birthday too? Did they not love me? This question was slowly eating away at Naruto. For a minute he wanted to say no. Of course not. It was just simply this one time. I bet it won't happen again. We just to see how tonight goes. If they get me a good thought out gift, then that will prove it, thought Naruto as he passed a couple more shops. As he turned the corner, he arrived at the Uchiha front gates with the 2 guards. Hey, I came to see Shisui, exclaimed Naruto. We know, brat, you come here every day, replied one of the guards. Hey, I'm not a brat. Even if you do know, I still have to check in Dadbayo, replied an annoyed Naruto. Whatever, brat, snickered the other guard, hoping to get a rise out of Naruto. Naruto replies, why, you son of. Better not finish that unless you wanna run 100 laps around Konoha, brat, says Shisui as he walks up to the front gate. Sensei. I'm not a brat, Dadbayo, replies Naruto. I know, Naruto, just playing with you, right guys? Both guards nodded their heads and laughed, seeing how tormented the kid was. Come on, let's go to my house, I got something for ya, says Shisui. Alright sensei, let's go, responds Naruto, knowing he would receive a gift. Naruto and Shisui made their way towards to Shisui's apartment in the Uchiha compound. Greeted by a few people on the they finally arrived, Shisui opened the door and let Naruto in. Wait here, Naruto, I'll be right back, said Shisui as he walks to his bedroom. Returning back. Here you go, Naruto, this my present to you, announced Shisui. Though before you open it I have to tell you something, so listen up. Yes sir, replied the excited Naruto. Shisui begins talking. Naruto, this is my present to you. What you're about to open is something that cost me lots of money. So take good care of it, okay? Seeing Naruto understood, he continued. The reason I'm giving you this is because I'm proud I made you my student. Even though you haven't done anything in the ninja world, you have proven to me that you are worthy of being a ninja. You have the traits of becoming a great ninja, and I'm sure you will be too. Though now I will no longer be able to train you as often as I did because I have decided to join Anbu. That doesn't mean I won't train you, it just won't be as daily as it is now. Quote. Seeing Naruto's sad face as Shisui decides to wrap up things. Naruto, you will now be joining the academy. Even though you may know most of what is expected there, I want you to stay all 3 years. Before you protest, yes, I know that you may have a chance to graduate a year early, but stay, it will do you good to stay with people your age. Don't wanna turn out like Itachi, huh? Not allowing Naruto to say anything like Itachi is the best though. Don't worry though, after you graduate my Anbu time will be done, and I'll get a chance to train you again. Now open your gift, replied Shisui. Naruto could just simply nod. He couldn't believe that he would no longer get to train with his best friend as much anymore. He opened the gift he received, to find a beautiful orange handle sword still in its sheath. He looked closer at the handle to see that there was an Uzumaki swirl on one side and a Konoha leaf on the other. When he took it out of the sheath, it had a beautiful black blade with an orange line cutting through it. Thanks Shisui, don't you worry, when I come out of the academy I will definitely look forward from learning from you again. As well, I will make this sword the most famous sword in the world. Exclaimed a now excited Naruto. We'll see about that, brat. You better run along and get ready for tonight. I heard your parents were throwing a big yeah, and keep working on the wind chakra exercises, noted Shisui. Alright, thanks for everything, sensei. Answers Naruto as he runs up to him and gives him a big hug right before he leaves. Party time. The backyard was filled with a bunch of children. There was lots of music and games. Though there was one kid who stuck out, and that was Naruto. He was simply just sitting on the side with Shikamaru and Choji. So Shika, Choji, you ready to join the academy next week or what? Asked Naruto. What a drag. I really don't want to go, but it's better than being stuck with mom, replied the lazy Nara. Well, I'm very excited, Naruto. I really want to become a strong ninja, exclaimed Choji as he ate away at his chips. Suddenly Kakashi popped out of nowhere. Yo, Kakashi said coolly. Kakashi, what's up? Did you come to the birthday party? Answered Naruto. Sorry Naruto, I have a mission, and came over to give you this, said Kakashi as he handed Naruto a wrapped gift. Give me, remarked Naruto as he ripped open the present to find a mask and an orange book. What? Why did you give me this book, you pervert? He turns around to see Kakashi had already left. He looked at the book and the mask. It wouldn't hurt to read it, would it? Nah, let's just see what's it about. Completely forgetting about Shikamaru and Choji, he opened the book and begun to read it. Blushing just after reading one random page. Now I know why Kakashi wears the mask, hehe, thought Naruto as he looked at the mask. Suddenly Kushina had called in all the kids to eat cake and open presents. Of course Naruto and Mito got to sit at the front of the table, while the rest of the parents and kids sat in front of them. After everyone devoured the delicious cake, presents were handed out. Mito and Naruto mostly received clothes and money from most of the civilian families. From the clan families they received some ninja tools. Kushina had decided to start to teach both Naruto and Mito about sealing, so gave them a book over it too. Tsunade had decided to give both Naruto and Mito a book about medical ninja. Makoto Uchiha decided to give Mito an Uchiha shirt, much to Sasuke's annoyance. While Itachi handed Naruto a wind scroll he had collected on one of his Kame Minato's gift. Alright everyone, listen up. Today I have decided to give both Mito and Naruto special gifts. As well, make a big announcement, announced Minato to the crowd. As he whips out a summoning scroll which he gives to both Mito and Naruto. I would like to give you guys the summoning scroll to the Toad contract. Naruto quickly runs up and starts writing his name in the scroll. I knew it. My parents would never forget about me. Ha, this shows they love me too. As well, toads beat crows. Ha, take that Shisui. So dad, what are the hand signs for the summoning jutsu? Exclaimed Naruto, hoping to show off in front of the crowd. You see Naruto, I won't teach how to summon quite yet, maybe after the academy. I'm just giving you the summoning scroll for now, replied Minato. Ughhh, moaned Naruto, really wanting to know how to summon. Alright, now for my second announcement, exclaimed Minato. This suddenly got everyone's attention, wondering what this second announcement could be about. Many of you know the Namikaze is actually a cousin clan to the Uchiha. Minato looked down, seeing some of the Uchiha smirking, knowing well that the Yellow Flash was actually a cousin of the Uchiha. Well, today I have decided to announce Mito as the official heir of the clan. Many looked at him at shock. Not because of the announcement, but because in reality the heir of the clan was always the oldest. In this family it was Naruto Namikaze. Kushina looked shocked, not believing Minato would actually do something like this without her approval. Mito didn't know what to think. Everyone else was a bit taken back, but many of the clan heads understood. If the eldest didn't show promise, then the next kid would take over. Thought that really wasn't the case here. Naruto was even more shocked, not believing his own birthright was stolen from him. Of course Naruto wasn't gonna let this slide. What do you mean Mito is the heiress? Fired Naruto. That's my birthright. Not hers. Naruto calm. Just she shows lots of promise as a ninja. Exclaimed Minato, didn't think he would get this mad. I mean, he has always been so quiet and calm about things. And I don't. Ask Shisui. He says I show lots of promise too. Yelled Naruto. I'm not saying you don't show promise, it's just. Minato couldn't finish as Naruto ran out crying, covering his eyes. I can't believe he did that. And this pain in my eyes. Minato, I don't believe that was wise of you. I mean, I understand you wanted to give Mito the title, but shouldn't you have told Naruto beforehand? Suggested Shikaku Nara. As well, isn't a bit early to be naming heirs? Many of the people in the crowd started agreeing with Shikaku. And why didn't you tell me beforehand? Asked a now irritated Kushina. Well, you see, I wanted it to be a surprise, stuttered Minato. I jumped the gun, didn't I? Of course you did. I can't believe you did that to your own son, oh great fourth. Jumped in Tsunade, very angry at what she just saw. Well, maybe I should go talk to him. Asked Minato, starting to feel the guilt. I didn't mean to hurt Naruto's feelings. I just wanted to motivate Mito more by naming her clan. I shouldn't have done this. Don't let him cool off. Shisui already went after him, stated Itachi as he walked away, feeling a bit irritated with the Hokage. Naruto and Shisui. I can't believe they did that to me. And in front of everyone. Thought Naruto as he ran to the lake in the park. I thought they loved me. As Naruto stood there weeping, he couldn't shrug off the pain in his eyes. And this pain. My eyes, they feel like they are on fire. Suddenly Shisui appeared in his signature body flicker technique. Hey Naruto, are you Alri? As Shisui looked at Naruto's eyes, he was beyond shocked. The Sharingan. As he stared into his eyes, now bloodshot red with one tomo in the left eye, and two tomo in the right. Naruto stopped weeping, seeing that Shisui was obviously in shock. What's wrong, Shisui? Naruto, look into the reflection of the lake. Commanded Shisui. Naruto, doing just that, took the same face that Shisui had just moments ago. Well, this just got very interesting. Thought Shisui. Suddenly Shisui appeared in his signature body flicker technique. Hey Naruto, are you Alri? As Shisui looked at Naruto's eyes, he was beyond shocked. The Sharingan. As he stared into his eyes, now bloodshot red with one tomo in the left eye, and two tomo in the right. Naruto stopped weeping, seeing that Shisui was obviously in shock. What's wrong, Shisui? Naruto, look into the reflection of the lake. Commanded Shisui. Naruto, doing just that, took the same face that Shisui had just moments ago. Well, this just got very interesting. Thought Shisui. 1 year and 6 months later. Two figures were racing in the tree lines just outside of Konoha. Both of them had spiky hair. Yet the taller one's was black as night, while the younger one was red as blood. The taller one was wearing a traditional Anbu outfit with an Uchiha symbol on the back. The short one was wearing a black and orange Uzumaki outfit, Shippuden outfit. Yet what made them pop out the most was those red eyes of theirs. Yes, these two were no other than Naruto and Shisui. It had been a year and 6 months since Naruto's 9th birthday. Many things had happened that day. Whether it was for the good or bad only time will tell. Though what thing it did was activate Naruto's Sharingan. Now he had been able to activate the second tomo in his left eye. Shisui had thought best to keep this a secret from everyone else. Since he knew of people who were after the power of the Sharingan, and would do anything to get it, Danzo, he decided to continue to train Naruto just like he had been doing, except now he could teach him his Sharingan tricks. As well, he told Naruto that if he ever wanted he could tell his parents. Though Naruto decided to keep it to himself. So, now we're here with Naruto and Shisui racing through the treetops. Suddenly Shisui pulls out several kunai, and throws them at Naruto. Naruto quickly dodged, or blocked those thrown at him. Not allowing him time to think, Shisui engages him in taijutsu. Shisui easily forces Naruto into defense. Crap, I can't beat Shisui in taijutsu. I need to get some distance, thought Naruto as he tried to get as much distance as possible. Though Shisui won't let him have it, knowing exactly what he was trying to do. Though Naruto had tricks up his own sleeve. Pulling out a smoke bomb, he exploded it, blinding him both and Shisui. Shisui, believing Naruto would try to get some distance this way, jumped out of the smoke. Though that's exactly what Naruto was hoping, he didn't jump out of the where Shisui jumped. He used a widespread jutsu to force him right where he wanted him. Covered by the smoke, he started to wield some hand signs. Wind release. Vacuum sphere. As Shisui jumped out of the smoke, he looked around for Naruto. Where he go? Though at the corner of his eye he was able to catch the small blasts of wind chakra shot at him. Not bad, Naruto. Use the smoke screen to force me out, while you stay in, and indeed. Though not clever enough, thought Shisui as he easily dodged the attack, and landed on a branch. Though as soon as he landed, a wire was set off. The trap tied Shisui to the tree. Naruto, seeing his plan had worked, he jumped out of the smoke, and near the tree where Shisui was. I win, sensei, exclaimed Naruto, finally able to trap Shisui. So, you made this trap while we were engaged in taijutsu, correct? Seeing Naruto nod, he continued. As well, the smoke was to force me out into the using wide range attack to force right onto this branch. Naruto just grinned, though suddenly so did Shisui. Too bad I saw right through it. Then suddenly Naruto suddenly saw black, and what looked like 2 pairs of Sharingan eyes. As soon as it disappeared, he realized he was the one tied to the tree. What? But how? Genjutsu. This genjutsu allows you to manipulate the enemy into doing what they want to do to you. As well, you can turn someone else's genjutsu against them. Though usually it takes some hand signs, and the opponent to look into the user's Sharingan. Though I've mastered it to the point where I don't need hand signs. It's called the Sharingan Mirage Genjutsu, grinned Shisui. The moment before you set the smoke, I caught you under it. Making you jump out of the smoke, then I simply threw some shuriken and made you dodge. To the plan would have worked if it was anyone else. Naruto just stared at awe. He couldn't believe how powerful that genjutsu, enough that his Sharingan didn't detect he only had 2 tomo. Will I be learning that? Asked Naruto. Yeah, of course, the reason I showed you it was because I would be teaching it to you tomorrow, exclaimed Shisui as he untied Naruto. Dang it, sensei. I thought I had you this time, Dadbayo, cried out Naruto. Naruto, take it easy, I'm in Anbu. It take years before you catch up, responded Shisui, though seeing he wasn't completely satisfied. As well, that was some high genin level strategy right there. I mean, I don't think even some chunin could think that off, praised Shisui. Naruto just looked up and smiled. You're right, Shisui. How about some ramen? I'm sorry I can't. Naruto got to get back to some. Here is some money, go get yourself some. See ya tomorrow, though come early since you're gonna learn that, yeah, and stop skipping classes. Explained Shisui as he disappeared in his usual body flicker technique. Whatever, Ichiraku ramen, here I come. Exclaimed Naruto as he left in his own body flicker technique, which consisted of a swirl of leaves. Ichiraku ramen stand. Naruto appeared right outside of the stand. Quickly going in, he sat down. In his usual was two people in the back. An aged man, and his young daughter no older than 15. Old man, get me 2 bowls of miso ramen. Exclaimed Naruto. You got it, Naruto. Ayame, get me 2 bowls for our favorite customer. Shouted out Chuki. Got it, Dad. Responded Ayame. Suddenly 2 blonde-haired girls walked in the stand. Naruto, not even bothering to look around, didn't know that it was her sister Mito, and her best friend Ino. You know, Naruto, you really shouldn't be eating so much ramen. It's quite unhealthy. Pointed out Mito. While Ino says, yeah, should be more like Sasuke, I'm sure he doesn't eat so much ramen. Naruto just sighed and had been trying to be nicer to his sister, since Shisui had asked him to. Flashback no jutsu. It had been a few days after his birthday. Just 2 days ago Shisui had picked up his training after the academy at full speed. After the academy, Naruto would come here for 2 hours. First hour would be spent on perfecting the basics, such as chakra control, elemental control, and wielding his weapons. Such as the blade he hadn't been able to name. Then the next hour they would work on taijutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, and the Sharingan. Though it was more with the Sharingan than anything else. Though today was the day Shisui decided to give Naruto a talk. He's been getting a lot colder, since what happened at his birthday. I need to snap him out of it, before he does something stupid. Thought Shisui. Hey Naruto, we need to talk. Stated Shisui. What is it, sensei? Asked Naruto. Cut it out, or I'll stop teaching you. This isn't the student I wanted to teach a few weeks ago, said Shisui, crossing his arms. Cut out what? Asked again Naruto, now a bit more concerned. Stop being such a brooder. Drop it, Naruto, forget what happened. If you continue the way you are, you're just gonna regret everything you and forget. Said Shisui. But Shisui, you just don't understand. You have no idea how it feel like to always be overlooked. Simply ignored for your sister, even though you try so hard to get their attention. You have no idea. I mean, I don't care about being the heir, it's just because they ignored me again, yelled back Naruto. Shisui just pinched his nose. Yes, Naruto, in fact I do. Naruto just stared at him confusedly. What do you mean? You know Itachi, right? Well, Itachi has always been considered a genius like no other, even in the Uchiha clan. Well, as young children my parents had always asked why I couldn't be more like him. It infuriated me to no end, exclaimed Shisui as he shut his eyes. Then opening them, so, that day instead of resenting my parents and Itachi, I set a goal to be better than him. To show everyone I was Shisui Uchiha. Not the cousin of Itachi. To this day I have worked my butt, and I have even surpassed him. With that Shisui closed his eyes, and reopened them. To show Naruto what looked like a 4-pointed shuriken. What is that, Shisui? Asked Naruto. He had never seen this from his sensei before. This Naruto is the highest level of the Sharingan, the Mangekyo Sharingan. With this eyes I can achieve visual prowess behind the normal Sharingan. Though I won't show you because it's kind of a double-edged sword. I have genjutsu special to only these types of eyes. A genjutsu known as Koto Amatsukami. With this genjutsu I can implant false memories into one's brain, and manipulate them however I want. Another one would be Tsukuyomi. The most powerful genjutsu known to man. With this I can trap one into an unbreakable genjutsu in which I control everything for 48 hours. When in reality it would only be 3 seconds. This something not achieved since Madara and Izuno Uchiha. Though there is more than just genjutsu, explained Shisui. Naruto just stood in awe. A genjutsu that controls another person, space and time itself. Still has more abilities. But how do you achieve these abilities? Asked Naruto. Shisui just sighed. There is two ways in one may unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan. The first and most common way would be to kill the closest person to you. The wind blowed loud, as an eerie silence took over both of them. Of course there is a second way. The way I took. That is to train your to the point, where it naturally evolves to the Mangekyo Sharingan. Though as I mentioned it is a double-edged sword. The more I use it the closer I come to losing my sight. Until I'm completely become blind. Wow Shisui, I'm sorry I didn't know. As well how come I've never heard of the Mangekyo Sharingan if it's so powerful, asked Naruto. Well you see Naruto there's reason it isn't known. The reason is because the Mangekyo Sharingan is very difficult to achieve. Only maybe 5 people before me have actually activated it. As well I'm probably the only one who has achieved it through hard work alone. Everyone else has activated it by killing the closest person they have, replied Shisui, that's why it's a clan secret. If everyone knew there would be clansmen killing left and right. I see but why are you telling me this? Asked Naruto. It's because I want you to completely forgive your parents. I understand how it feels to be overlooked. Though don't allow to turn into a shallow person. You still have Tsunade, Kakashi, Itachi, me, and many other people. Right. You should even include your parents because one day you will show them who Naruto is. In fact once you graduate you really don't have to be a Namikaze. You can change your surname to Uzumaki. A clan of friendship. That's why I put its symbol on your sword, said Shisui pointing to his orange-handled sword. Naruto's eyes just widen. You're right Shisui. I'm not just the Hokage's son, or Mito's brother. I'm the Naruto no Uzumaki. And I'll be the second person ever to unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan with sheer effort alone. Then I'll show every Dadbao. Good. Then stop being so cold to your family. I don't expect you to be friends with your parents, but actually respond to them nicely. As for your sister try to be friends with her. I mean it really isn't her fault. She probably didn't even know about the whole Eris thing. Finished Shisui. Yes sir. Said Naruto. Shisui's right. I should at least show some manners. As well I guess he has point about Mito. Shisui just gave Naruto a smile. Naruto I believe that you can achieve greatness beyond those of Madara. Yet instead be more like Harashima. The reason is because if my research is correct, once you unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan you won't suffer the curse. You won't need a transplant to achieve eternal light because Naruto you hold both Senju and Uchiha blood. It will be need for the times ahead. Suddenly Shisui's smile faded. He watched a Naruto begun his warm-ups. Especially if the clan goes ahead with the coup d'etat. As well that orange-masked guy Itachi encountered lurking around, he seems a man that will become very dangerous. I just hope you're strong enough to endure it, if I'm not around. Sadly thought Shisui. Flashback no Jutsu release. Even though he has had some success with his sister, he really didn't like some of her friends. Especially Ino, even though she has shown some traits he likes like loyalty to a friend. She was so bossy, and obsessed with Sasuke. He thought Sasuke was okay, just not a god. Whatever, I can still beat him in a spar, said Naruto hoping to get a rise out of Ino. Mito just sighed even though she was grateful Naruto was talking to her more, she still couldn't stand his prankster ways. Whatever Naruto you're such a loser. Screamed Ino. Did you say something Ino? Coolly replied Naruto, Kakashi would be proud. Ino just fell on her face, and Mito just sweat dropped. So, Mito wants some ramen. Shisui gave me some extra money today. Asked Naruto. No, I just passed by to tell you not to eat so much. Let's go Ino, we should meet up with Hinata. Answered quickly recovered and gave Naruto a glare. With that the two blonde-haired friends left. Naruto just sighed even though he really hated Ino, he wished he had a friend like that. Friends that were always by your side. Even though Shisui was his best friend, he was always on missions. As well, he was like 5 years older. Naruto just finished his food, and went home. He really felt lonely. Next day, Naruto was walking home. He had just finished the academy for the day. Even though Shisui told him to be there early, he was in no rush to get home. Today he decided to pull a prank on his unfavorite teacher Mizuki. Naruto didn't know why, he just didn't get good vibes from him. He was always staring at his sister, like she was a prize. Even though he didn't entirely love Mito, that doesn't mean he was gonna let some guy stare at her. Yes, he had sent him packing to hospital. His prank had consisted of paint balloons, and Ninja had tripped him up and sent him head first into the wall. Knocked out conscious, the class was dismissed early except for Naruto, who had been punished by scrubbing off the paint in the room. If his mom found out he was so getting yelled at, again. He continued to walk. He was on the edge of there was a trail right through the middle of the small area of trees. As he walked his way through, he heard some commotion. Deciding to check things out, he headed to see what it was. As he checked it out, he noticed it was 3 bullies surrounding a kneeling girl with lavender hair. As he took a closer look, he noticed it was one of Mito's friends, Hita. Tinta. Hinata. That's it. Having had enough of this, he decided to intervene. As soon as the bullies tried to throw a punch, he quickly got in front of it and caught it. Don't you think it's a little rude to pick on a lady? Asked Naruto. What's it to you? Asked one of the bullies. Who are you anyways? Hey guys, it's Mito's brother. My mother said he was the loser son of the Hokage. Stated one. What you gonna do, tell your dad, the Hokage? Taunted one of the bullies. A tick mark appeared on his forehead. He couldn't believe people were saying he was loser. I beat you all to the ground, Dadbayo. I'll show you, the only losers here are you cowards. Whatever. Just don't go tell your daddy. Taunted one. Yeah, Brad, it's 3-on-1 anyways, added the other one. Whatever, fine by me. By the way, the name's not Brad or Hokage's son, it's Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki Dadbayo, declared Naruto. With that, Naruto engaged the bullies. It was totally one-sided as Naruto was able to knock them out, and tie them to some tree. As he finished that up, he walked up to the girl. So, your name's Hinata, right? Asked Naruto. Yes, you're Naruto, right? But I thought your last name was Namikaze. Asked Hinata. Well, yeah, but once I graduate I'm gonna change it to Uzumaki. 'Cause the Uzumaki clan was known for its friendship with the leaf. Claimed Naruto. Why wouldn't you want to be Namikaze? Asked Hinata, clearly confused. Well, you see, Hinata, I just hate being known as the Hokage's kid or just Mito's. I am going to make a name for myself. I'm gonna show everyone that I'm the Naruto Uzumaki. As well, I really just don't want the last name gave away my spot as heir, 'cause I wasn't worthy enough to be it. So I'm gonna show everyone that I won't let that stop me from being the best, Dadbayo. Replied Naruto. Well, take care, Hinata. See ya tomorrow at the academy. With that, Naruto just jumped to the trees, and body flickered home. Hinata just stood there, still a bit shocked. He just like me. A person believed to be unfit to be a heir. Yet he is still strong, willing to go against the tides. Naruto, you're nothing like your sister describes you. Standing up, Hinata made her way home. Naruto, you've inspired me to do my best too. Naruto Uzumaki, that has a nice tone to it. Hinata Uzumaki. With that final though, she gave a really big blush. Though she quickly dismissed it because she didn't want to be an obsessed fangirl. No, she wanted to prove her worth just like Naruto. Namikaze household. Kushina and Mito stood in the kitchen. Mito was sitting at the kitchen table, while her mother was cooking some lunch. That's when Naruto appeared in a whirl of leaves. Naruto, you're home. I wish could really stop using that leaf shunshin. Sweetly smiled Kushina. For anyone that knew Kushina, that wasn't the smile you wanted to receive. Yes, mother. Replied Naruto. Why do I have the scariest mom? Red Death. More like the death god itself. Hello Naruto, said Mito. She was just sitting there reading some book. Hello Mito, replied Naruto. With that Naruto went toward his room, and picking up his gear, he walked back to kitchen. As he was about to reach the door. Naruto, aren't you gonna eat with us? Asked Kushina. He's still a little cold towards us. In fact, he hardly ever eats with us. At least he gets along with Mito. No, I'm not going to eat. I'm heading to train with Shisui. He said he was gonna teach me something new, and I should get there early, responded Naruto. Naruto, you don't always have to be training. You should sit down and eat with us. I know Shisui can only train you certain hours, but your father and I could train you when he isn't around, said Kushina. Please come around, Naruto. You have no idea how much this is hurting me. No, there is things only Shisui can teach me, what you can't. As well, I really wouldn't want any training from Dad. Maybe you, but not Dad, replied Naruto. Kushina felt a bit relieved but irritated at the same time. At least he has opened up to me a bit. Though I really wish he could forgive his. Does he mean only Shisui can teach him? I was Jonin for a long time. That brat just started Anbu. What's so special about Shisui? I understand he's talented, but what is it that only he can only teach you? I mean, both your father and I are much more experienced than could he possibly teach you that we couldn't? Questioned Kushina. Naruto just sighed. If I continue this talk, I'm gonna end up having to train with as well. Get her off my back. He walked towards the door, and opened it. Though before he stepped through he replied. Shisui is my friend. That's what makes the training worth it. Training with my best friend. As well, for the reason he can teach me and you can't. Naruto turned around with his eyes wide open. Revealing his Sharingan, 2 tomo in each eye. With that done, Naruto walked out the house. Kushina just stood there in shock. Trying to process everything that just happened. Sharingan. How? When? Why didn't he tell us? I didn't think a Namikaze could actually awaken it. Mito. Honey, I'll be right back. I'm going to go talk with your father, shouted Kushina. Mito hadn't been paying attention to what occurred, but if she had, she probably wouldn't have been able to reply, okay mom. Many hours later in Hokage's OFFICE, Minato just sat in his office. Finally catching up on today's tensions got high, so did this pile of paperwork. He was really sick of it. He couldn't imagine how the third could have done it for so long. What made it so much worse was the fact that his wife came storming in demanding to talk with him. At first she accused him of not telling her about his son unlocking the Sharingan. At first he thought she was just joking because no one had been able to unlock it in the Namikaze clan since the beginning of Konoha. After a bit talking, and calming her down, they both realized that they both were never aware of how, or when he unlocked it. So Minato just sent her home, and told her he would find out. He of course knew only one person who could answer all his questions. Shisui Uchiha. He would have to know. That's what Naruto had told. Now he sat and waited. He wanted to call him immediately, but he didn't want to make things worse with his son. Now that we're talking about his son, things between Naruto and Minato weren't the best. The week following his birthday he had completely stopped talking to Minato. Though after that week he started to open up, but only when he was called upon. As well, he had completely denied all attempts of training with Minato. It really saddened Minato. He knew he deserved what he was getting, yet he just wanted his son to forgive him. He wondered if this is how the third felt with his son Asuma years ago. Suddenly an Anbu with a crow mask appeared. Hokage, you called me? Yes, Crow, though I need you to take off your mask, asked Minato. As Crow took of his mask it was revealed to be Shisui. Hokage, have you called me here because of the coup d'etat? I think it would be wise to get Itachi here too. He probably has more intel. Yes, Itachi will be coming. Though I called you sooner because I need to talk about Naruto, replied the fourth. Shisui just looked at him curiously. What about him do you wanna talk about? Why wasn't I aware that he had unlocked the Sharingan? Demanded Minato. Shisui just looked at him and took a long sigh, so Naruto finally told him. Well, I told Naruto to keep it a secret, since he didn't have the protection of the clan. Not having the protection would tempt others to possibly steal it, replied Shisui. Why keep it a secret from us too? I mean, we're his parents, shouted Minato. Shisui just waited for him to calm down and responded, I told him he could tell only his parents if he wished to. He decided not to. Why he didn't tell you? I don't know. You just have to ask him. Minato just sat back down. Sorry Shisui. I just let my emotions get the best of how tense things have been lately. It's alright sir, replied Shisui. So now if I can ask a favor. Suddenly Minato was cut off by his secretary who walked in the room. Sir, the elders, and the Anbu member you requested are waiting in the meeting room. Minato just nodded. I guess we have to finish this some other. Go. The current situation is much more important than this at the moment. Though I expect you to answer my questions afterwards. All right, let's go, said Shisui. With that, Shisui and the fourth Hokage made their way to the meeting room. Meeting room. The four elders, Hiruzen, Danzo, Homura, Kahara, the fourth Hokage sat at a desk. In front of them stood two kneeling Anbu, Shisui and Itachi. Itachi and Shisui had just finished giving them the whole scoop of the coup d'etat. So, that's the last of it. They plan to commence the attack tomorrow? Asked former Hokage, just pinched his nose. If the Uchiha are planning this coup d'etat, I believe the only way to resolve this is to label them as traitors, offered Homura. Yes, it's too late not to judge them. We must act now before it's too late, pitched in Kahara. If we join up with Anbu Black's ops, it shouldn't be too hard. Though we would also have to take out all the children, concluded Danzo. Though he really wanted to get rid of the Uchiha for his own reasons. Enough. We shouldn't be talking about the Uchiha like this in front of Shisui and Itachi, demanded the third. Shisui and Itachi just kneeled there showing no emotion. Though the both had a billion thoughts going through their heads. Suddenly the talking ceased, and the elders just looked at Minato. Looking for an answer. So what will it be, Minato? Asked Danzo. Minato just sighed. He couldn't believe that his cousin clan was thinking about revolting. If I don't take care of this problem, it could very well start the fourth great ninja war. Shisui, you said you had a genjutsu that could temporarily control one, right? Asked Minato. Shisui just nodded his head. Alright, I want you to use this genjutsu to buy me some time. Just one day would be enough. I'm gonna try to reach a compromise with the Uchiha first. Start your mission. Dismissed both of well with this meeting. Finished Minato as he got up and walked out. As well, both Shisui and Itachi left. Meanwhile, Danzo had secretly signaled his route to commence their own operations. Then made his way to go find Itachi. As he left the room, a little smirk left his face. If everything goes right, I won't just have a Mangekyo Sharingan, but also all the Sharingan left in the wreckage. Many hours later, Naruto was peacefully sleeping in his room, when suddenly the peace of the night was disturbed by the pecking of a window. As Naruto slowly woke up, what could be making this noise? Though looking up to his window, he noticed a black crow with a scroll in its beak. Shisui-sensei's summoning crow. What's it doing here? Opening the window, he allowed the crow to fly into his room. The crow took a lap around his room, and landed onto his shoulder. Naruto reached for the scroll, and opening it up. Dear Naruto, meet me at the cliff right outside Training Ground 31. Come alone with your ninja gear, and make sure you're not followed. As well, bring the crow with you. You'll need it. Shisui. Wonder what's this for? Naruto pondered for an answer, and couldn't come up with anything. Putting on his gear, he grabbed a pillow and placed a transformation on it. Quickly jumping out the window. At the cliff, Naruto quietly arrived at the cliff. It had taken him a while, since he had run into an Anbu a while of running around, he had finally gotten around. As he arrived to the scene, he saw there was no one here. Looking around, he noticed that he actually was alone. Closing his eyes, he allowed his thoughts to take over, wonder what's up with Shisui. He was a bit jittery today. As well, he is never late. Suddenly he heard a branch twitch. Quickly opening his eyes and activating his Sharingan, he turned around to see a barrage of kunai. Quickly using his eyes to his advantage, he grabbed the lead kunai, and proceeded to dodge, and block the rest. Suddenly the man attacking him appeared, and tried to go for a killing blow. Naruto quickly dodged, and knocked him backwards. Now that Naruto had a better look, the man was bloody and had a plain Anbu mask on. Quickly deciding to end this, Naruto reached for his own kunai, and chucked it at him. Unsheathing his sword, he was able to add wind and engaged him in Kenjutsu. After a while of fighting, Naruto cast Genjutsu on his sword. He made the sword look faster than it actually was. Naruto quickly got the advantage. Then stabbing him through a vital spot in the stomach. As he looked into the eyes of the mask, he noted one of his eyes were missing. As well, the single black eye looked quite familiar. Pulling out the sword, the person coughed and stumbled back into a tree. He was just sitting at the tree as blood poured out of his. Didn't think it was possible, but he looked worse than feeling a bit sick. He still proceeded to question the man. Who are you? Why did you attack me? How did you know I would be here? Asked Naruto. I hope Shisui wasn't taken down by him. By the looks of it, this man looks like he has already been through one battle. The man just continued to cough, and sat there. Naruto having enough, he reached for his mask. If you won't talk, I'll just unmask you here and now. As Naruto took off his mask, it revealed to be a man missing his left eye. As Naruto took a closer look, he stumbled back, eyes filled with shock. His hands shaking. Thrace. No. Way. Shisui. But. Shisui just looked at Naruto impassively. I had to cough, test you to make sure you could go through with killing. I probably won't be around. As you can see, my left eye is gone. Naruto just stood there in shock. I'm sore didn't know it was you. Shisui, we can get you to Tsunade to sauve you. She can save you. She's the best. Don't worry, just rest. No, it's too late, you need to know the truth. Wheezed Shisui. Naruto begun to let tears fall out. He couldn't believe he had just stabbed his best friend. You need to know what happened to me. Naruto just stood there, face completely in shock, and tears pouring. He still managed to nod. Shisui seeing this started his story. Naruto, you have to know that the Uchiha clan was planning a coup d'etat. But why? The Uchiha clan had always been respected in the village. Asked Naruto. Things aren't always as they seem. They weren't liking the way they were being. Many blamed them for the attack on the Nine Tails 10.5 years ago. They were blamed since an orange-masked Uchiha claiming to be Madara was behind it, replied Shisui. What? But father said it was a natural disaster. That childbirth had weakened mother's seal and had allowed half of the Nine Tails power to escape. Stated Naruto. That wasn't the truth. That what was told to the civilians. To the ninja, everyone was told that an orange-masked Uchiha claiming to be Madara was behind it, replied Shisui. Now stop asking questions, and allow me to finish. I don't have much time. Naruto just nodded and let him continue. So anyways, me and Itachi acted as double agents for the Leaf. We were ordered by the Uchiha clan to join Anbu and spy for them. Though in reality we were spying for the Leaf. Anyways, the coup d'etat was planned to go tomorrow. So the fourth asked me to use the Mangekyo to buy him more time to come with a compromise. Naruto's eyes widen at the mention of his father. Did father do this? Shisui seeing his reaction. No, Naruto, it wasn't your father who did this to me. It was a man known as Danzo Shimura. I was ordered to use Koto Amatsukami to buy more time for the fourth. On my way to Uchiha clan, Danzo, one of the elders, attacked me. He believed that I couldn't be trusted, and tried to steal my eyes. As you see, he stole my left eye, though I got away in time. After I was able to get away and meet up with Itachi. Since I couldn't use the genjutsu anymore without raising suspicion, I found out Itachi was ordered to massacre the clan by he allowed the children below the age of 11 to live. Since they weren't officially part of the clan, they still weren't ninjas. Still, the number is no more than 20 of the 120. This was only guaranteed if Itachi took complete blame and left to become a rogue ninja. Then he would join any mercenary groups that may pose a threat. Quote. Naruto's eyes widen in shock. Massacre the Uchiha clan. Father would never allow it. Even if he is ignorant, he would never kill his own blood. What? Father would never allow this. Naruto, you don't understand. If the coup d'etat would have happened, then it would have started a civil war. If a civil war occurred, many nations would try to invade Konoha, thus starting the fourth great ninja, causing meaningless death once again. Thankfully, Itachi was allowed to let all the children under the age of 11 live, finished Shisui as his right eye slowly closed more. What about you? I mean, you helped the leaf, screamed Naruto. Naruto, the moment Danzo stole my eye, I was as good as dead. If I return, he would kill me to hide the truth. As well, I have no proof, it was my word against his. He is the man I warned you about. The man that would try to steal your eyes because you weren't part of the clan, explained Shisui. Naruto's breathing got heavier and heavier. He just couldn't handle all this information at once. Butte, why, ddd, yyou, have me stab you. Why? Asked Naruto, clutching his eyes. It was I would rather die at your hands than my own. Shisui coughed, proceeding to move his hand towards his right eye. He yanked out his last eye. Then, grabbing the bird, he begun to transplant his last eye into the bird. As well, I only trust you with my last eye. With that, Shisui formed a hand sign and pressed it on Naruto's left arm. This is a summoning. You have to do is swipe some blood on it, and use the summoning technique with your left hand. Since you already have one with your right. The crows have agreed to this, so don't worry. This is where I'll place the crow with my right eye. I guess this is it, Naruto. Slowly standing up, Shisui proceeded to get to the hole in his stomach. Take care of the next generation of the Uchiha, Naruto. As well, you can never let anyone know the truth. Do it for the village's sake, and the name of the Uchiha. The reason me and Itachi did this is so the Uchiha clan name wouldn't be tainted. We wanted the next generation to believe that the Uchiha clan was a proud clan. Please look after them, since many will be left all alone. Proceeding to walk away, he stopped. You're actually fortunate that I told you the truth. I'm pretty sure Itachi lied to his brother, making him direct all his hate towards him. Though I believe that you're stronger than that. That's why I told you the truth. Don't hate your dad, or there was a choice that had to be made. Just don't trust Danzo. Shisui turns around. Naruto, I believe that you're a person that will change this world for the better. You have the blood of both the Uchiha and Senju. You are destined for greatness. If you ever unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan, head towards the Nakra shrine hidden in the Uchiha compound. Quote. Pulling out a scroll, he opened it and unsealed it, showing an even bigger it back. He handed it to Naruto. In here are many of my jutsus. As well a jutsu to open the shrine. Become strong, Naruto. The future will only get worse from now on. Remember the orange masked man. He is still at large, and is plotting something bad. Suddenly Shisui begun to cough really hard, and blood begun to drip out of his mouth. I've run out of time. I guess this is the end of the road for me, Naruto. In all honesty, Naruto, you were like a little brother to me. Remember, I will always love you like one too. With those final words, Shisui left with his body flicker technique. Naruto stopped shaking, clutching the scroll in his hands. Putting it away into his pouch, he looked at the spot Shisui was just. Eyes were bulging out of his sockets. Little veins all heading towards the center of his eyes. Unaware to Naruto, the third tomo appeared in his eyes. Suddenly a memory appeared in the back of his brain. Flashback no jutsu. Hey, Shisui, teach me a new element please, asked Naruto. Naruto, you first should completely master wind before you tackle anything else. It's only natural since you're only in the academy, replied Shisui. Before Naruto could retort, and no Naruto, you may not graduate early. I already told you try to make more friends besides Shikamaru and Choji. It'll do you good. Naruto just pouted, you don't think I try. Everyone just cares about Mito. Some just become my friend to get to her. Shisui just sighed and had Naruto sit down with him. Let me tell you a story, Naruto. Naruto just pouted more, I wanna learn a new element, not hear some story. You'll like it. It's about how ninjutsu was started. Not many people know the truth about it, replied Shisui. Naruto just looked curiously at Shisui, how ninjutsu started. Fine, you have piqued my interest, stated Naruto. Shisui just smirked. Alright, as you know, there are 9-tailed beasts in the world, right? Seeing Naruto nod, he continued, well, there was once a time when all the beasts were emerged and created the 10 tails. Naruto just looked at Shisui in fear. 10 tails. Wow, that's impossible. Who could be strong enough to split it into 9 beasts? Or did the beasts simply just not want to work together? Shisui replied, let me continue. This beast was so powerful that it was believed that he ruled the world. Though just like every story, there is hero. A man known as the Raikudo Sennin, the sage of the 6th paths, was able to stop the beast with his special dojutsu. A dojutsu only seen in this man. The most powerful dojutsu in the world. It was known as the Rinnegan. With the Rinnegan he defeated the beast and became its Jinchuriki. Then bringing peace with the land. Naruto just stared at awe. Amazing, the Rinnegan. Was it that powerful? Shisui just nodded. Yes, but this isn't the end of the story. You see, this man later went on to have 2 sons. The older son received the spiritual energy of the sage, while his younger brother received the physical strength. The older brother received a dojutsu, though it wasn't the Rinnegan. The younger brother received the strength and chakra of his father. The older one valued nothing but power, while the younger one valued peace. He believed by working together could you achieve this. Of course, when the father sensed he would die, he believed that his younger son's view on the world was similar to he was troubled with his other son's view. Therefore he named him his heir. Of course this didn't go well with the older brother, thus creating a huge rift between the two. Thus the older brother created the Uchiha clan, and the younger the Senju. This was the start of the rivalry of the Senju and Uchiha clan. Naruto just stared at him. Wow, I didn't know that's how it all started, but that's not all of it, is it? Shisui smiled, sharp as always. The father before he died split the 10 tails into 9 beasts. He entrusted the beasts the world. Though as you know it didn't end up well for the beasts. As he didn't just do that. Seeing the rift he created between his sons, he decided to stop the Rinnegan to emerge in either of them. He had used the last of his powers to only allow the Rinnegan to re-emerge in the eyes of a Senju and Uchiha child. Even though Naruto was very interested, he still couldn't help but ask, why are you telling me this? Shisui replies, well, you see, Naruto, I'm telling you this because you can only be strong when you have the friends to back you up. That is the will of fire. The same will that the sage of the 6 paths believed in. That's why I don't want you to graduate early. Naruto just looked at Shisui, still not convinced. I don't know. Though that isn't the only reason. As you know, the child that will reawaken it in a time of great chaos. Thus he will be the one to stop all the chaos, and finally bring peace to all the land. You want to know what, Naruto? I believe you could possibly be this child. Naruto's eyes suddenly went wide. Then suddenly he let a tear out. I don't think that will happen, Shisui. I appreciate it, but that's silly, not even my parents can recognize me. How can I save the world? Shisui just chuckled. That may be true, Naruto, but I believe you can overcome that. I believe you can do what the eldest of the sage couldn't. That is to forgive his family. Naruto stopped the tears. Thanks Shisui, I don't know what to say. Though I doubt I'll awaken this Rinnegan. Though I'll make sure to surpass you Dadbeo. Shisui just looked at Naruto and smiled. You know Naruto, I'm glad I made you my student. You're like the little brother I never had. Flashback no jutsu release. The little brother I never had. Remember, I will always love you like one too. These words were all that were going through his brain. Clutching his eyes, they suddenly shaped into a black 8-point rounded star. With a red ring in the middle creating a black circle. Then between each gap of the star's points was a tomo. Naruto had unlocked the Mangekyo Sharingan. Picture of profile. Unaware of this new development, it would be years to come before he would once again use these new eyes. Though for now Naruto just fell to his knees. Deactivating his Sharingan, he collapsed onto the floor. Time skip. The little brother I never had. Remember, I will always love you like one too. These words were all that were going through his brain. Clutching his eyes, they suddenly shaped into a black 8-point rounded star. With a red ring in the middle creating a black circle. Then between each gap of the star's points was a tomo. Naruto had unlocked the Mangekyo Sharingan. Picture of profile. Unaware of this new development, it would be years to come before he would once again use these new eyes. Though for now Naruto just fell to his knees. Deactivating his Sharingan, he collapsed onto the floor. Hokage's OFFICE. Minato was sitting at his desk impatiently. He had a really sour and tired face. It was probably around 11 p.m. Even though he knew staying up this late was part of the job. Right now he would rather be up doing some paperwork, than waiting for what he was waiting. He leaned back into his chair and sighed. Fugaku, I will never understand why it had to come to this. I hope you can forgive me, Itachi. All I put onto your shoulders was one big burden. I hope the next generation can be the ones to change all this. Minato straightens himself up, deciding to attack the pile of paperwork to get things off his mind. Though as he was about to reach for the stack, his family picture caught his eye. No, what really caught his eye was Naruto. As Minato stared at the redhead's deep blue eyes, he couldn't help but feel guilty. He really wanted to make it up to him, but he only had time during training. He was totally refusing that. Minato just kept thinking until his thoughts came across Shisui. I need to find out what exactly happened to him. To believe he was attacked on the way there. Yet who? Itachi looked like he wasn't gonna say more, but I have an idea who it was. Danzo. Though with no proof I can't do anything. He's planning something. Big. I have to find out before it's too late. I have to keep a closer eye on him. Suddenly a black-haired man with a weasel Anbu mask appeared before him. It's done. I spared all the children who were yet to become a genin, and weren't told about the coup d'etat. A total of 13 were left alive. Sir, I have one final request. Minato just stared at Itachi with sorrow filled in his eyes. Don't worry Itachi, no harm will be done to them. As well if you need some mo. No, Lord Hokage, I don't need anything, replied Itachi. I need you to never tell them the truth of this night. Minato just looked at him, and turned to his window. Why? I was planning to tell them the truth when they become much older. Itachi replied, I want them to believe that the Uchiha clan was proud clan. I don't want them to lose that part of them. That's why I did this. Minato turned around. Pulling a small bag out of his desk, he tossed it at Itachi. There should be enough money in there for a month or two. As well, your request will be fulfilled, Itachi. No one will ever be told of this unless you want to. Itachi just nodded his head. With that he shunshined out of the room, and as far away from the village as he could. Now for the second part of my mission, infiltrating Akatsuki. Hours later, finally after settling all the chaos of the massacre, Minato just really wanted to go home, and crawl away. He did just that, teleporting home for the night. Namikaze household. Kushina was impatiently waiting for her husband. She sat there at the kitchen table just reading some scrolls. Even though she was a retired shinobi, She still liked to keep herself busy with she planned to return to the forces once again. After all, she was only 32, but that's for another day. So now she was her sitting at the kitchen table. She always waited for Minato to come home, and today would be no exception. Suddenly, there was a small flash of yellow and Minato appeared. "Minato, where were you?" demanded Kushina. "I've been waiting here for ages." Minato just looked at Kushina and his mood worsened. She's gonna be devastated about Makoto. "Kushina, I have to tell you something," said Minato. Kushina's eyes just flared up. "You cheated on me, didn't you?" "You son, oh. No. Kushina, there's no way I would cheat on you. I love you, come on." Cut in Minato trying to calm down his wife. Kushina just looked at Minato apologetically. "Of course, sorry, I'm just a bit tired. It's just Mito says that every time she does something wrong." Guilt overtook Minato once again. "Well, Kushina, Makoto is dead. There was a massacre at the Uchiha compound. There was only 13 survivors, all children." Kushina's eyes just went wide. Falling back to her chair, she let the tears flow out. Her expression was filled with great sorrow. Makoto is dead. But who would do this?" cried Kushina. "We have to stop them." Minato just looked at Kushina painfully. "It was Itachi, and he got away." Kushina's eyes just went wide. "There is no way. Itachi loved his wouldn't ever do, must be a mistake." Minato just turned around. "We don't know exactly why. He caught his brother under a powerful genjutsu that will probably leave him in the hospital for a while. He seemed to have killed all those who had the Sharingan, leaving him as the last one with an awakened Sharingan, besides Kakashi." Kushina just couldn't believe it. Her little Itachi had done that. She just sobbed harder into her hands. Though suddenly she stopped. What about Naruto? Is he alright? Getting up from her chair, she headed for his room. Minato following behind. "Kushina, I doubt anything happened to don't have to wake him up. I mean, I doubt Itachi even knew about it. Shisui told me only he and Naruto did before he disappeared." Kushina just stopped walking. "What do you mean disappear?" "Well, I sent him on a mission, and he never reported. S been marked as MIA, presumed KIA, sheepishly replied Minato. Kushina just stared at him. Naruto is gonna be so devastated. "I'm still checking," and with that Kushina hurried to Naruto's room. Minato following close behind. They opened his door a bit and peeked in. What they saw was Naruto silently sleeping in his bed. "See, he is just sleeping," whispered Minato. Though Kushina noticed something else. Naruto was silent. Too silent. She walked up and pinched Naruto's nose. Suddenly there was a loud poof and some smoke, revealing to be just a pillow. Kushina's eyes went wide and her hands were shaking. "Minato, he isn't here." Minato couldn't believe it. Itachi didn't possibly kill his son too. No, there was no way. "Kushina, don't worry, we'll find him. Just stay here." Quickly flashing back to his office to alert Anbu. "Wait here." "No way." She quickly ran to her room and put on her old ninja outfit and headed out. Hours later, Anbu had been furiously looking for the Hokage's son, yet he was nowhere to be found. Minato was beginning to panic. Did Danzo possibly take him during all the chaos? Then suddenly an Anbu appeared. "Sir, he's been found by Lady Kushina. He's now being treated at the hospital." Minato looked up. "Kushina. I told her to stay home. Doesn't matter now." "Okay, call of the search. I'll be heading there myself." "Yes, sir," replied the Anbu and disappeared. With that, Minato proceeded to use his Flying Thunder God technique to teleport to the hospital. Arriving in the main lobby, he dashed to the reception. At the reception was a young woman probably no older than says, "I need the information on Naruto Namikaze now." The receptionist, not having looked up from her files, "Sorry, sir, Naruto is labeled as no visitors allowed by the Hokage." A tick mark on Minato's head formed. "I am the Hokage." Receptionist jumped out of her chair, dropping all her files. Finally looking up, she couldn't help but stutter. "So RRY, Lord Hokage." Quickly getting herself back up, she pointed down the hall on her right side. Down the hall to your right. The room will be the fifth door on the left side. Room number 45 inches. Minato just nodded and dashed down the hall. Turning to the right down the second hallway, he came to room 45. Arriving at the door, he quickly opened it and went inside. Having walked into the room, he noticed Naruto laying in bed. Kushina was sitting by his side looking very worried. Is he unconscious or resting? Thought Minato. Where did you find him? How is he? Asked Minato. Kushina turned and faced Minato. I found him right outside of training ground 31. He was just laying there totally knocked out. With his sword all bloody not too far from him. Seeing Minato's reaction at the last comment, she continued, no, it wasn't his blood. In fact, he has no injuries. I have no idea why he is unconscious though. I'm waiting for teas. Suddenly the door opened and a pair walked in. A busty blonde woman with a green robe, and a young lady with short brown hair. What's going on? What's wrong with Naruto? Demanded the blonde. Lady Tsunade, please calm down. Asked the brunette. How do you want me to calm down, Shizune? We've been here all night with the Uchiha massacre. Now Naruto is hurt. Minato, what type of Hokage are you? Demanded Tsunade, clutching her fist. You better have a good reason or else you end up just like your pervy sensei. Minato quickly backed away, sweating bullets, while waving his hands in the air. Tsunade, please ca. Minato was interrupted by Kushina. Tsunade, right now isn't the moment. We need to know what's wrong with Naruto. Tsunade, finally having remembered about Naruto, right. Shizune, I want you to read his report, while I do a diagnosis. Shizune and Tsunade went to work. Shizune grabbing the report, and reading through them. While Tsunade walked over to Naruto. Putting her hand over him, her palms turned green. Slowly she started to hover her hands all over Naruto. Strange. There's not any physical damage that could have caused him to become unconscious. As well, no signs of poisons and. Quickly moving her hands to his head. She begun to concentrate, closing her eyes, then suddenly her eyes flung open. This is worse than I thought. Exclaimed Tsunade. Kushina and Minato moved closer with alarm. What do you mean worse than you thought? Asked Kushina. Well, if one is unconscious and there is no sign of physical damage, that means that they must have went through mental damage. Right now Naruto's mental state is shattered. It's actually as bad or as worse than the Uchiha kid, why he's unconscious, explained Tsunade. What do you mean as bad as Sasuke's? What happened to him? Asked Kushina, frantically looking at Minato and Tsunade. Minato just looked down, already knowing what had happened to young Sasuke. Tsunade just sighed. Itachi, his brother, caught him in an unbreakable genjutsu which made him watch Itachi massacre the clan. He explained that in the genjutsu 72 hours passed, while in real life it was merely 5. Luckily I was able to take him out of his unconscious state since it was only a genjutsu. Yet, it still made a lot of damage in his personality and mental state. Kushina just gasped. She was still having trouble accepting the massacre, yet for Itachi to do that. She just shook those thoughts away. Then can't you do the same to Naruto? No, what happened to Naruto wasn't a genjutsu. It was the real thing. It would be wiser to allow his brain to catch up with the information. Though if he doesn't wake in 6 days, I'll wake him from his unconscious state. For now it's wise to just let him rest, and hope whatever happened doesn't affect him too much. Tsunade gave Naruto a kiss on the forehead, and her and Shizune headed out to check on other patients. Kushina and Minato just stood there watching Tsunade leaving. Minato just looked tired, and filled with grief. Kushina looked like she was gonna burst into tears again. What type of mother have I been lately? I keep saying I want him to come back. Though what have I really done? I've just kept offering to train him. I don't even know what he really likes. Now you're here in so much pain. Yet I can't do anything because I don't really know much about your life. Minato interrupted her, thinking, Kushina, it's best if you go back and rest. It's been such a long night, we're just gonna have to wait for him to wake up. No, replied Kushina. Minato was a bit taken back. Kushina would usually agree with him. Kushina, you have to remember that Naruto isn't your only child. You also have to worry about Mito. No, I'm not leaving. Just like Mito isn't our only child. Tell me, Minato, do you have any ideas what could possibly have caused Naruto into this state? To get put in this mental state, his worst fear must have came true. Tell me, Minato, do you know what he is scared of the most? Seeing that Minato had no answer, just like you can't tell that. Can you even tell me what his favorite color is? Dreams for the future. I can name all of Mito's but none of Naruto's. No, I'm not leaving. Crossing her arms, and sitting down by Naruto. Minato just sighed, then suddenly all the guilt went rushing at him. He knew what Kushina had said was totally true. He actually wanted to stay too, but he had to remember that he was Hokage too. You're right, I don't know any of that stuff. You can stay with him until morning, but if he doesn't wake up, you'll go back and rest. I need to get some rest, then I'll check up on you in a few hours. With that, Minato disappeared in a flash. Kushina just sat in the chair by Naruto, waiting for her son to wake up. 3 days later, Naruto's mind. Naruto, you were like a little brother to me. Remember, I will always love you like one too. Naruto heard and watched himself kill Shisui over and over, felt like he had watched this a million times, yet he still couldn't process the information. It was like every time he watched it, it was a new memory. Then suddenly he heard a voice, "Move on." Naruto cocked his head. In front of him was an illusion of Shisui. "Wake up, Naruto. You can do it. Just move on." Hospital room. Naruto suddenly jerked awake. Sitting up, he looked straight ahead. Looking to his left, he noticed the sun was high in the sky. It was just a bad dream. Then suddenly Naruto looks down to what he is wearing. He notices he is in the same outfit as the dream. Clutching his head, it can't be unless. Reaching for his pouch, he digs around. Then suddenly his hand lands on a slightly bigger scroll. His breath suddenly gets much more shallow. Slowly pulling it out, he notices it is the same scroll Shisui gave him. Clutching his head once more, he screams, "No!" Kushina woke from her sleep in shock. Looking up, she noticed her son was clutching his head with a scroll in his hands. Quickly getting up, she heads over to him, and tries to get a grip on him. "Honey, please calm, alright, you're safe." Naruto looks over, just noticing his mom. Though it wasn't enough to calm him down. As she tried to embrace him in a hug, he pushed away, and got off the bed. No, he can't be dead. Falling to his knees, he stops clutching his head. "I didn't mean to, I swear." Suddenly he burst into tears. "Who's dead? What happened to you, Naruto?" thought Kushina as she tried to calm down her son. Then suddenly Tsunade burst into the room. "What's going on?" he, looking down at Naruto. She rushes over to him. "Naruto, calm down. It wouldn't do you any good if you just collapse again." Naruto's crying ceases. He rushes over to Tsunade and embraces her in a hug. "Gr Ranma TS's unate IIDD and me and TTU." Tsunade just hugs him back. Looking at Kushina, she gives her a questioning look. Kushina just shook her head. "He just woke up like this. I don't know what he's talking about." Tsunade, having understood, grabs Naruto and brings him back to his bed. "Okay, Naruto. Calm down. Then tell us what happened." Naruto, having understood what she said, begun to calm down. "What happened to you last night, Naruto?" asked Tsunade. Naruto looked at her and stuttered back. Hisui attacked me. Thhn I defended ISWW or WW and through Shaking his head to compose himself, he gulped and continued, "I stabbed him with my sword, then he died. But I didn't know it was him. I swear you have to believe me. He had a mask." Tsunade's and Kushina's eyes went wide. "Shisui did this? Was he with Itachi? Why did Shisui do this?" asked Kushina. "Was he with Itachi?" Naruto's eyes went wide with the mention of Itachi. Then he remembered what Shisui told him. Did Itachi really kill his clan? Tsunade and Kushina gasped. Naruto, we never told you about that. How did you know? Naruto closed his eyes. So, Itachi really do it. He was about to respond when he remembered what Shisui told him. You can never let anyone know the truth. He told me before he died, replied Naruto, taking a huge breath, though I thought he was just making up lies. Honey, why did Shisui attack you? Asked Kushina. Naruto just gritted his teeth. I don't know. He said he wanted to test me. He said he was already dying. So he wanted to see how far I had progressed. Naruto's mind was racing at 1,000,000 miles per hour. Do I tell them? No, Shisui said not to, though he did this to me. Why? Tsunade looked at Naruto with full sorrow. Naruto. Can I just go home? I want to get some rest. Interrupted Naruto. Has the Uchiha funeral passed? Yes, yesterday, replied Kushina. Naruto closed his wanted to go pay his respect to Shisui, but at the same time he felt so bitter towards him. Okay, can we go, mom? Said Naruto as he headed for the door. Tsunade just sighed. I'm not supposed to let you go, but I'll make and please Naruto, take it easy. Naruto stopped as he opened the door and in a monotone voice he replied, okay. As Kushina and Tsunade saw Naruto leave, a face of worry crossed Kushina and Tsunade. Kushina followed behind his son. Many hours later at the cemetery, the whole village had heard the unfortunate news about the Uchiha clan. That Itachi had massacred his clan, and had only spared the children. Which weren't many, just 13 of the 67 of the Uchiha clan. A huge funeral had been set by the Hokage. Not all the village attended, but a majority of it did. After his mother told Minato about Shisui's death, Minato proceeded to add him to the graves. Which left Kushina baffled since Shisui had tried to kill Naruto, but Minato wouldn't explain it to Kushina. Naruto has been just thankful he hadn't seen his dad all day. He didn't know what he would do if he saw him in front of him. He was holding so much anger towards him. As well, he got really ticked off when Mito greeted him. She just asked if he was alright, and left. From that moment he decided to just stop trying. Even though Shisui had asked him to, he just couldn't stand it anymore. The only reason he had attempted to even talk to her was because Shisui had asked him to. She never tried to say anything back, and took him for granted. Though the only person he really couldn't complain about was his mother. He was very grateful she was there. He probably would have just stayed in his room if it wasn't for her. For the first time in his life he actually felt like his mother cared. She had actually asked him what he wanted to eat. I mean, asked him. As well, from what he heard from Mito's complaining, she stood by his side all 3 days. He couldn't help but hug his mother. For probably the first time in his life he hadn't felt overlooked. Even after all of this, Naruto had decided he needed to go cemetery. He felt if he could find closure it would be there. Naruto was walking down the road to the cemetery. On his way he could see people looking at him. Some waved because he was the son of the 4th Hokage. Yet he saw some kids point at him and snicker. Naruto couldn't help but feel a bit anger. They're laughing at me just after what happened, though I have been in coma for 3 days. Naruto just sighed. I'm such a mess, I don't know whether I should be angry or that I wouldn't let get to me. Or now getting to me. Turning the corner he walked into the cemetery. As he walked down the rows of graves, he made his way down to the Uchiha Memorial. As he reached the place he begun going down the rows, which were alphabetical, until he made his ways to the S's. Taking a deep breath he made his way to Shisui's grave. Naruto looked down. He knew that there was no body in the grave, but he couldn't help but fall to his knees. As he stared down the grave he begun to cry. Why did you do this to me, Shisui? Quietly asked Naruto, tears flowing down his face. Why did you have to die? Naruto couldn't help but cry. What Shisui had done, no, what he had done was just too much. He didn't know to be angry at himself or at Shisui. Shisui said he did this for him, but he didn't know what to think. Naruto just stayed quiet, as he thought to himself. He didn't notice a small figure walk up to him. The little figure walked up to Naruto and whispered, "Excuse me, sir." Naruto turned around and noticed it was a black-haired girl. She had the same dark eyes as all the Uchiha, though they were a little puffy. Naruto slowly moved to the right, curious about the girl. He stayed. Naruto, taking a better look at her, noticed she looked a lot like Shisui, though in a feminine way. He watched as the girl placed a white flower on top of his grave. Naruto couldn't help but ask, "Did you know Shisui?" The girl just looked up. As she tried to speak, her voice choked a little. "Yes, he was my big cousin. He would sometime look after me because MMMY would sometimes be out on missions. He was pretty funny and nice. I miss him and mommy the most." The little girl began to let some tears flow out. Naruto suddenly felt like running away. He really wasn't good with little kids, even though he was a kid. Though suddenly Shisui's voice crossed his mind, "Take care of the next generation of the Uchiha." Naruto took a deep breath. Maybe this was why Shisui did what he did. "I can do this. I won't run away." "Yeah, he was pretty funny, wasn't he? But I don't think he would find it very funny to see you cry," replied Naruto. "What's your name, by the way? Aren't you a little young to be here alone?" "My name is Haruka and I'm 5. So, I can take care of myself," replied the little girl, finally whipping the tears as her fiery attitude started to bubble. Her reaction: Naruto finally did something he hadn't done in days. He smiled. Fiery and confident, just like Shisui. Naruto blinked at that thought. Wasn't he just confused about Shisui minute ago? Why was he so happy with this? Getting rid of the thought, he teased the girl. "I don't know, you look like a squirt to me." Haruka just pouted. "You can't call me a squirt. You're probably like 10. I'm 11, by the way. So tell me, why are you here alone?" asked Naruto. Haruka's little pouty face turned into a sad one. "I wanted to bring Shisui a flower, but the lady taking care of us wouldn't let me. So I snuck off." Naruto just sighed, even though he had done the same. "I don't think the lady will be too happy with you. As well, she must be worried sick." Haruka replied, "I don't care. I said I was gonna say bring Shisui a flower and that it's it. By the way, how do you know so much about him? Who are you?" Naruto made a little choke sound. He had a little trouble responding, but he replied, "He was my sensei, and he was my best friend." Naruto's eyes widened at what he just said. Though suddenly his mood changed. "Yes, he is my best friend. Regardless of what happened. I guess that's what I needed to confirm. Yeah, my best friend. As well, my name is Naruto," finished Naruto. Haruka's eyes went wide. "You're Naruto? Wow, Shisui told me about you. He said that you were a really good ninja." Haruka looked at her feet. "Can I ask you something?" Naruto looked back, a bit curious at her change of attitude. "What?" "Well, my mommy didn't like you very much. She thought that an Uchiha should teach an Uchiha. So why did Shisui teach you?" innocently asked Haruka. Naruto just gave a loud sigh. He really didn't like when the Uchiha would criticize Shisui teaching him. "Well, the first reason was because Shisui believed I was a lot like him. As well, me and Shisui were like, no, we were, well, if you believe an Uchiha can only teach an Uchiha. Well." Closing his eyes for a second, he reopened them. Unaware himself, he had shown the girl a fully matured Sharingan. The little girl gasped, "Wow, you're an Uchiha?" Naruto shook his head. "No, I'm from the Namikaze and Uzumaki clan. The Namikaze clan are cousins of the Uchiha, and Uzumaki cousins of the Senju. Since I have both Senju and Uchiha blood, I can activate the Sharingan. So in a way, yes, I am, but not fully." The girl was still in awe. "How did you already master it?" "My mother said it usually took an Uchiha until the age of 15 to reach its full potential. Only Shisui and Itachi did it early." Naruto looked at the girl confused. "Mastered? I only have 2 tomo, unless." Naruto reached to his shoe, pulling out a small knife. He looked into the reflection. As he saw, he let a loud gasp. Shisui, you did this for me, didn't you? Naruto let out a tear. He had finally understood why Shisui had done what he had done. As he remembered what he had said a long time ago. Flashback no jutsu. Naruto was panting as he was finishing his last exercise. He deactivated his Sharingan, as he caught his breath. He had seen the difference between an immature Sharingan and a mature Sharingan. Shisui's Sharingan made him look like he didn't have any in the first place. So he couldn't help but ask, "Hey Shisui, how did you mature your Sharingan so quickly?" Shisui just looked at him. Naruto, there's no easy way if that's what you're asking. Though there are two ways in one may reach the third and final stage. That piqued Naruto's interest. 2 ways. Shisui nodded his head. Yes, one of course is to train it to the limit. Though the second is similar to just activating the Sharingan. A normal Uchiha could activate it when they are in great danger. Though for you it's a little different. Naruto gave him a questioned look. What do you mean? Well, not to bring back bad memories, but you activated your Sharingan because of great grief. The betrayals of your parents was enough emotion to help activate them, replied Shisui. Naruto asked, I understand that, but why is that? Well, you see, when one isn't a full-blooded Uchiha, it takes more than danger to activate the Sharingan, since they don't have enough of the gene in their blood. So it takes a deeper emotion, such as grief and anger, replied Shisui. Though unless you want to lose someone precious, I think you should just stick to the road of hard work. Naruto waved his hands in the air. Come on Shisui, you know I'm not power hungry. As well, I can never cause intentional harm to those around me. Shisui just smiled at him. Good, because I just remembered. I won't be able to take you out for ramen. I have a mission. Then he disappeared in a poof. Naruto just blinked, then yelled, Shisui. Flashback no jutsu release. Naruto couldn't help but cry. He had finally understood. Shisui knew he was gonna die. So he made sure his death wasn't in vain. He made sure the Naruto would be strong enough. Yes, he had found his closure. Though for a moment he forgot about the little girl. I'm sorry I brought back bad memories. Please don't cry, begged the Haruka as she too was about to cry. Naruto composed himself, not wanting to see the girl cry again. Don't worry Haruka. It's all right. As he embraced her in a hug. Why don't I take you back to the orphanage? Haruka shook her head. I don't wanna go back yet. It's really lonely there. All the kids are like at least 3 years older than me or 2 years younger. Naruto, just though he hadn't lost all his family like her. He could understand one thing, loneliness. Naruto had felt it his whole life, when Shisui was away. Whether it was at school, home, or at the park. If he wasn't with Kakashi, Tsunade, Itachi, or Shisui. He was usually all alone. Suddenly her stomach growled. The little girl blushed a little at the loud sound she made. Naruto allowed a smile to escape his lips. I guess we don't have to go back right away. How about we get something to eat? Haruka twiddled her fingers. I don't know, but only if it's ramen. Naruto just smiled. Well, lucky you, I know the best ramen shop in town. Haruka's eyes went wide. Really? Mommy wouldn't let me have a lot. She said it was unhealthy. Haruka's eyes narrowed as she thought about her mother. Naruto saw this. Well, that's what I thought so too, but the old man there has this special soup for me. It's filled with vegetables, and lots of good meats. It's quite healthy actually. I bet your mother would have approved. Quote. Haruka looked at him. Really? Well, let's go. Grabbing him by the arm, she dragged him out. Though before she did, he gave Shisui's grave one last look and smiled. Then looked back at the girl. The little grieving girl he had seen a moment ago was now all smiles. It was like even if the world stopped spinning, her smile wouldn't fade. As they raced to the shop, he couldn't help but to laugh with her. He was only 11, but he felt kind of silly. Naruto and Haruka sat down in the stand. Naruto called out, Ayame 2 training specials. A brunette girl faced them, coming right up Naruto. As well, who's the girl? My name's Haruka, answered Haruka for Naruto. Ayame laughed a little at the hyper girl. It seems Naruto, you have found your former self. Naruto just sighed and Haruka pouted. I wasn't that bad, was I? Oh, Naruto, you used to be such a hyper kid before you started training. Even I couldn't handle you, replied Ayame as she disappeared into the kitchen. Haruka looked at Naruto. Hey Naruto, what did she mean, former self? Well, you see, I used to be lots like you, Haruka. Always hyper and brash, replied Naruto. I'm not brash, screamed Haruka. Naruto just smiled. Whatever. Haruka stopped her pouting. You know, Naruto, you aren't that bad. Especially since you bought me some ramen. No problem, Haruka. I know you're having a little trouble, replied Naruto. No, it's not just that. You've been the first person since the incident to actually do something. I mean, people say they're sorry for me, but they didn't go out of their way like you did, said Haruka as she let out a tear. Reaching for a hug, so thank you. Naruto returned the hug a bit. As I said, no problem. Haruka, whipping away the tears, couldn't help but ask, Naruto, maybe you could come visit me tomorrow. It's a bit lonely at the orphanage. So maybe. Naruto looked at the little girl. To be honest, he really didn't want to get too attached to her, since what just happened with Shisui, but he couldn't say no to her sorrowful face. Sure, Haruka, as well, once you start becoming a ninja, well, if you become a ninja, I could train you too. Haruka's face lit up at Naruto's response. Thank you, Naruto. And yes, I want to become a great ninja like my mom and Shisui. Suddenly Ayame appeared. Here's the food. Putting down 2 bowls, Haruka, be a little careful, it's hot, honey. Well, time to eat, stated Naruto as he pulled out a pair of chopsticks, with Haruka doing the same. As Naruto was halfway through his food. Thanks a lot, big brother Naruto, said Haruka. Naruto choked on his food. What did you say? Haruka was a bit nervous at his response. Well, my mother said that her older brother always took care of her, and you're taking care of me. So you're kind of like my big brother. Looking down into her bowl, I'm sorry if I upset you. Naruto's grin was so wide it almost fell off his face. Maybe I can't find a sister in Mito, but Haruka, I promise to protect you. It's fine, Haruka. Naruto returned to eating his food, perfectly fine. Haruka smiled and reflected, maybe I didn't lose all my real family in massacre. Alright, big brother. As she returned to eating her bowl. Unnoticed by her, Naruto stared at the space in front of him. I truly understand why you did it, no Shisui. Looking at Haruka, to protect those close to you. To protect Haruka, the rest of the Uchiha kids and me. So this is the will of fire, and I will be the next to carry the torch.